Oftentimes, the cast of characters in the past are also in this lifetime. When I took her into a past life, she was energy. She worked on wormholes. That was what she did. What Dolores Cannon says is Earth is the most difficult plane to reincarnate to. They often will feel here on Earth like they don't belong.
So
I call in Source, your
yeah.
Source, and Source is speaking to you, and you're vocalizing it.
Well, welcome back once again to Raising the Consciousness of Humanity. And today I happen to have Doreen Conaway with me as the guest. She is a QHHT practitioner. We're going to dive deeply into what QHHT means. I think you'll find this extremely exciting. It's the first of the kind where I've actually interviewed a person that is a QHHT practitioner. So welcome to the show, Doreen. Thank you for being here on
Thank you for
Raising.
having me.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's very exciting. And I know you do past life regressions, past life exploration, and we're going to dive deeply into that. But let's just start off with the one question. How is Doreen raising the consciousness of humanity?
Well, I would say initially it was taking the journey into becoming a QHHT practitioner and taking my clients into past lives. They often they are connected directly to source, so that in and of itself is going to raise their vibrational frequency and raise their consciousness. But along my journey with QHHT, I've going to be raising consciousness a lot more because I will be launching soon, date to be determined, my own podcast connecting humanity to holistic healers and spirituality modalities.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Doreen. That was the excellent answer right there. And yeah, we'll be sharing all of Doreen's links and everything below this video. So you'll be able to check out what Doreen offers as well as the podcast that she has coming up as well. And maybe some of the people listening today potentially will follow that podcast. And also, maybe there's some people out there today that might be perfect for you to interview Doreen. So I appreciate you sharing that because we know when it comes to spreading and raising the consciousness of humanity, it's about people like us getting on with our voices, sharing our stories, our insights, our own awakening journey, and things that I find very, very inspiring. But like I said, you're the first of the QHHT practitioners. So what do those letters QHHT stand for?
They stand for Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique. It's a method of hypnosis created by the Dolores Cannon, who has transitioned over 50 years ago. And it is a hypnosis that focuses specifically on past life regression, or as I like to say, past life exploration.
Nice. And Dolores Cannon, that name comes up often. I know I've read some of her books, not all of her books, because she's written like what, 14 books. And so
I
she
think
was
it's
the
like 19.
19. Okay. So she was the one that
Yeah.
initially discovered this process. And I think I maybe even remember coming across a video where she said, like, she covered it. She discovered this process, maybe a little accidental or whatever, but it seemed like with all the other past life regressionists out there, she stumbled across um, a process that got people into maybe a deeper sense of connection or trance or whatever. Can you share a little bit more about that? What makes QHHT differently, I
It's
guess?
not it's not a different level of hypnosis. What it is that the induction part, the
Yeah.
portion of taking a person into the hypnotic state is much shorter than
Okay.
other methods of past life and of hypnosis. So it's a shortened induction, the process of taking someone from the alert brainwave frequency to the alpha and theta brainwave frequencies. And I can explain the different frequencies if you like.
Yeah, please do.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about four of them. We are currently in the beta whoops, twisted tongue. We are currently in the beta brainwave frequency, which means that we're alert, we're aware, we can hear sounds, see, feel temperature on our skin. The next brainwave frequency that I'm going to speak about is the alpha brainwave frequency, and that is a light level of hypnosis. And we drop into that frequency several times a day. Have you spoken to a significant other or a child while they're looking at TV or perhaps social media and they haven't heard a word that you've said? Have you experienced that?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're not doing it on purpose. They are not ignoring you. They've dropped into a light hypnotic state. 60 seconds into looking at TV and social media, you drop out of the beta into the alpha brainwave frequency. You also might experience that when you drive to perhaps a place that you go to frequently, like work, where you've driven and you're like, I don't even remember driving there. Did I go through that red light? A lot of people are driving in that alpha brainwave frequency because you just drop out of the beta frequency.
Okay, no,
And
that makes sense.
then the next frequency, does it make
That
sense?
that makes sense. Yeah, I can relate to that.
The other brainwave frequency is where I work, is the theta brainwave frequency. And that is deep hypnosis where you're connected directly to source. And you enter that state naturally twice a day when you come out of delta brainwave frequency, which is dream state, and right before you go into delta dream state. So, a little
Hmm.
tip, if you ever want to ask your higher self a question before you're going to sleep, ask them, source, God, universe, whatever you feel comfortable, please provide me an answer with XYZ. And when you go to sleep, you'll most likely get the message through your dreams. So that's a little tip because you're always connected to source in the theta brainwave frequency. So those are the different brainwave frequencies. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. So you're bringing people into the theta brainwave
Mhm.
through this frequency, through this process, and you're keeping them in that state during a period of time. And then
Correct.
do you ask questions? Does the person that comes to you for a session prepare those questions? Or
Yes.
what is the next step once they're in that state?
Absolutely. Great question. So for a private session, I'll talk about a private session because it's completely different than a workshop. So for a private session, I ask my clients to bring a list of 25 questions for their higher self. So I can go through the whole process of a private session. So it is a lengthy session. It is a minimum of 4 hours long. It could go longer. So the client brings a list of questions. When they arrive, we sit and do an interview for 2 hours. It's important for me to know the person's entire life story, know their traumas, know their cast of characters, meaning family members, loved ones, all of the relationships that they have, the cast of
Hmm.
characters. Um, then after that, I review their questions, oftentimes during the interview to make sure I can read their handwriting because it's going to be on a piece of paper because I will be asking them when the client is in the theta brainwave frequency on the client's behalf. So I'll make sure that I can read their handwriting. Oftentimes during the interview process, I will come up with oh, that would be a good question for their higher self. At that point, I ask the client's permission if it's not on their list. Do you mind if I ask this question on your behalf? And most oftentimes they'll say yes. At that point in time, it's required that we take a bathroom break because they're going to be so relaxed in the hypnotic state, even their bladder. We want to make sure that bladder is cleaned out before we get them in the hypnotic state. I don't keep them in the hypnotic state more than 2 hours. That's important. So I do the induction process that I talked about earlier. That's the script that gets them into the theta brainwave frequency. I direct them to, I try to get them to two full past life experiences It depends on the client. I have absolutely no control. Sometimes they talk a lot, and so we can only get to one. But I'll talk about that part. So I take the client to their home to see where they live in the past life, and I take them to a meal to see who they're sharing a meal with. Do they have
Mm,
family members? Who are their cast of characters in the past? Oftentimes, the cast of characters in the past are also in this lifetime via soul contracts. Uh, then I take them to 3 significant days to understand days in that lifetime that were pivotal, that were life changing.
mm,
Most oftentimes, it's a wedding, the birth of a child, the death of a loved one. Those are very common things. And then I take them to the last day in that lifetime. And I don't like to use the D word. I like to use the transition word because we really don't D, we just transition into another form. Our
mm.
soul is eternal. We're just in this meat suit learning lessons. To progress our soul. Then I ask the questions on the client's behalf. And, they're speaking to me the whole time. They're my eyes, my ears. And this is being recorded because this is the part of the session. It's a gift. You leave with a recording, and I encourage the client to listen to the recording multiple times because each time they listen to it, they'll get additional healing. It's like watching a movie for the second or third time and being like, "Oh my God, I didn't catch that clue," or "Oh, I didn't catch that joke before," you know?
Yeah.
So I always encourage them to listen to it multiple times. So that answers your question about the question part. And then if they have any health issues, I ask Source to heal whatever health issues they have, do a full body scan. I ask Source what they're doing. If we identify any other areas that need work, I request that Source. I tell Source we expect full and complete healing. Sometimes they will say, Source will say, we're not going to be able to complete the healing in this session, so I'm kind of aggressive. I'll be pushy. Well, how long is it going to take? When is the client going to see? Because my goal is to try and get it completely healed within the session. The only time Source won't heal is if it's a karmic contract that was decided upon before incarnating into this lifetime. Also, a big part of it is that the client must believe.
I know for many of our listeners, they may have heard of hypnosis. Most people have, right? Maybe not everybody is
Mhm.
familiar with quantum healing hypnosis technique. I know in the past that I had done that with a practitioner, and I found it very, very fascinating, very interesting. There were certain things that I had questions that I had pre-written, and I got a lot of clarity. I think clarity is one of the key things that for me, and also I think that clarity kind of led a little bit around my life path, what I'm doing here, like in this life.
Mhm.
So I guess the question I have is, do you find, in addition to healing and other things, that do your clients sometimes come to you like maybe with that question around why am I here? What am I supposed to do? Or like life purpose, or that sense of how can I, you know, or is it more on relationships or health? Or I guess it's going to depend on the individual, right?
That's the number one question. The only time that is not a question, it's everyone usually asks that question, what is my purpose? Unless the client is already aware of what their purpose is.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. That makes sense. Now, do you
Mhm.
see a theme? Do you see some like having how many people so far? I mean, there's been quite a few that you've done. You do in groups and
I'd
individuals.
have to
So,
check. Yeah,
yeah.
so between the groups and the private, it's been hundreds.
Wow.
Yeah, I see a pattern. Oh, I lost my earbud. Um, I'm sorry, could you repeat the question? I got
Yeah. Do
sidetracked
you
when I
see
lost
any
my earbud.
patterns like people that tend to come? I don't know. Maybe it's just. I guess my bigger question. Let me rephrase that. Would be, are you seeing a lot of what I would say awakened star seeds or light workers or people that are, oh, maybe they're old souls, but they have this inner calling And do you kind of see maybe that, or maybe it's just like, I don't know, people that come for health issues, or is there a pattern that you may notice, I guess, within some of these?
I see the pattern that usually the life purpose is to be of service.
Yeah.
That's the pattern that I see with every single client, no matter what they come here for.
Okay.
Whether it be questions about the main two things are health, relationships. Well, actually, three things: health, relationships, and career are the main things that people come to me for. But those
Yeah,
are the three things that people come to me for, always.
sure. Yeah. So no, that makes sense because I think in today's time, there's a lot of people that are, they're trying to get more information around that. If they have a health issue that's been going on for a while, they might have a little fear around it. Maybe they've gone through regular medical treatments. Maybe it's not going away. So I could see that being a key reason. Relationships, whether it's a partner or family or somebody, like you said, quite often in hypnosis, in that past life, they might see these same characters in different roles, right? So maybe,
Mm-hmm.
the same players on the stage, but we're now in act two of a different play. so, so, yeah, that's interesting because that tells me a little bit more about, soul agreements or soul contracts, whatever word we want to use. Quite often, we do come here to interact in a way that serves us and serves the other.
Exactly. The other thing that many people are discovering their spiritual awakening or have had a spiritual awakening. That's a commonality that I see
Okay.
for
Yeah.
sure. For sure.
If they've had a spiritual awakening, they're probably awakened to a certain point, but they want to know more information.
And the main thing about QHHT is identifying the patterns. You're always going to see patterns. The universe is going to show you the patterns in past lives that you're experiencing in these lives. And often just the awareness, the epiphany of, oh, I see the pattern, can stop the client from repeating the pattern. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. So in traditional psychology, we hear about the bookmark of birth, death, and this lifetime, and in the very beginning part up to age 7, that we have received trauma or conditioning or things that develop our limiting beliefs. But what you shared is, oh, this could have been going on even in a previous life. And once the client becomes identified with that, says, oh, okay, I now probably see it from a perspective where I'm I created it, maybe even on a soul level, I created it, but
Absolutely.
I'm also the one that through awareness can resolve and move on through it too.
Absolutely. So what happens is that if you didn't learn the lesson in the previous lifetime, when you do your life review in between death, I like to call transition, and life, you get to do the lesson. It's like failing a college course. You got to take the course over again. So, do you understand why it's important to see the pattern and end the pattern in this lifetime so that you
Yeah,
don't get to repeat it again? You graduate essentially. Does that make
yeah,
sense?
that's totally yes. And that's totally liberating.
Yes, isn't
That's
it?
freeing. I mean, a person that may be unconscious about the pattern and then they say, oh, they awaken to it. And that now, do they sometimes have that same pattern with maybe the same character? Does
You
that
know, that's
happen?
a good question. It really depends on what they decided on between transition and life. You
Yeah,
know, because you get to see who you hurt, in that time. And that's a tough pill to swallow. And so you converge with your soul agreement person or soul contract person and say, oh, we didn't do such a good job that time. Let's try again, only this time I'll be the father and you be the child versus maybe the spouse. So it depends on what's you decided, you plotted your, what was that when you go to college and you plot your schedule for the semester? Uh,
Yeah.
that's essentially what you're doing. You know,
Your
you're
learning
picking
path. Yeah.
you're picking the classes and who your teachers are going to be in the next incarnation.
So do you find that sometimes after somebody comes out of that session and you provide them with a recording, is that what they can listen to the
Yes,
recording you said? Okay. And you said
yes,
sometimes it's if they listen to it over and over again, they might have new insights and more healing.
absolutely.
So do you find that a lot of times those individuals when they do hear that, they're like, "Oh, I get it now." Yeah,
Hmm.
that becomes a total recall in a way. And almost I could see a sense of just becoming easy in the body, like a mind shift in a way. So that's huge. I could see that being a very big breakthrough on the individual level.
It's transforming.
Yeah, yeah, that must be exciting for you as a practitioner because you feel like you've like it's almost like oh you've done your work and it's helped a person.
I'm elated, it's just brings me so much joy. It's like, yes, they're on their
Yeah.
way.
And we're not taught about past lives. It's not something in our school system. Matter of fact, many religions talk us out of it or say it doesn't exist. And it's one of those things. But I think of more and more people today are awakening to the point where they either have some past life memories and they want to know more, or they just get that inclination, like of maybe I know I've got something more about me than this lifetime.
Hmm.
And and like you said, they may have had some sort of a spiritual awakening, so that kind of opened the doorway for them to explore more. And then how do they find you? They just search for you online? Is that how do people come across you? Because I know you're
There's
in
a
Fort
couple of
Myers. Yeah.
Yes, there's a couple of ways. So I am on the official QHHT website
Okay.
where, so just Google the official QHHT website, and then if they click on Find the Practitioner, my legal name is Doreen Mary Conaway, so I'm listed under Doreen Mary. And then you have my website, doreenconaway.com, and I believe you have my social media links as well.
Yeah.
So that's how they find me.
Super. And I'm going to share all those below the video and YouTube. So,
Awesome.
with yourself, Doreen, what led you down this path? I believe you started as a practitioner. How many years ago was that? I mean,
3 years ago. 3 years ago.
okay. What kind of
So,
what did you go for your own QHHT
I
session and
did.
say, okay, tell
I
us more
did.
about that?
Absolutely. So I started my spiritual journey late in life. It was about 4 years ago. And I started, learning about spirituality and different modalities. And I actually took a course on learning how to do a bunch of different modalities. And I realized that I needed to focus on one modality, one healing modality. I had been in the traditional healthcare system most of my career, and it does not resonate with my soul. I disagree with our healthcare system. I am 60 years old and I take absolutely no pharmaceuticals. I do everything holistically. I just don't want to buy into to our sick care system, if you will.
Yep.
So I know that, and I wanted to explore and help offer people alternatives other than our traditional system. I just didn't know which modality I wanted to do. So, as you know, there's no such thing as coincidence. Everything happens for a reason. I kept running into QHHT and I'm like, why? Why does this keep coming up in my life? So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have a session. And I knew that the universe works in ways, things that no longer serve you, it pushes out of your life. I knew I was going to get laid off from my corporate healthcare job. And I was like, that's fine. I don't want to go back to it. I got to find something else. So I went to a QHHT session, and one of my questions was I asked my higher self, is this the correct career path for me? And I got a resounding yes from
Hmm.
my higher self. And 2 weeks later, my home was, I'm on a first floor condo and on the river. Hurricane Ian came through and wiped out my condo, and I had to move out of state while it was being rebuilt. And I didn't know a lot of people. I was able to work remotely for my corporate healthcare job. And it was the perfect time for me to start taking classes and studying because I had a lot of free time on my hands. And so I started my journey and did my internship, and here we are.
Awesome. And so, and you do, like I said, you do both on an one-on-one, and you also
Mhm.
you do groups as well. Tell me about the groups. Is
Oh, the
that
groups are
that's
so fun.
is it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's 2 hours, and I take the group to a past life. First, we do some warm-up exercises to practice visualization, and I explain the 4 levels of brain frequency. And then we explore a past life. We go through, a couple of significant days, and I take them to the transition date. And then I count everybody out as a group, and everyone shares if they want. I never pressure. Then I take them to meet their guardian angel. Now, if someone in the group already knows their guardian angel and has a relationship with them, they're not going to be at a loss because they're still going to get a gift and a message. But if the clients do not have a relationship or don't know who their guardian angel is, I take the group to meet their guardian angel, find out what the guardian angel's name is, what they look like. The guardian angel will give them a gift and a significant message of something that they need to hear right now. And
Hmm.
then I take them to a future lifetime where they get to choose to go 1, 2, or 300 years into the future,
Hmm.
explore significant days, count them out, and then I always end with a fun and engaging little game that people usually end up laughing and being uplifted as they leave the workshop.
Wow. And how big of, I mean, is there a limit to the number of people that you can have in that?
The largest group I've had is 22, and that's I like it like that because it's not too big, it's intimate. I like people to be able to interact and share, and it's in a 2 hour time slot. So to have much more than that is really, you know, pushing the time limit. Great question.
Okay.
You always have great questions.
Yeah, and then like I'm just because I'm curious. I mean, and then are these like sometimes in people's homes where they bring friends over, and everybody, knows about it and stuff, or is it like at a spiritual center? I'm sure you probably have both, I guess.
Both,
Yeah.
both. So what I do is I've partnered with several. I've partnered with my church, the Center for Spiritual Living Cape Coral, and several yoga studios, and I have Babcock Ranch, but Babcock Ranch is like it's different. I have a special contract with them for it's just for Babcock Ranch residents. But I also offer in-home, and if the hostess has 6 or more guests, the hostess is free. So I offer both.
Oh, that's a
Mhm.
nice, yeah. So anybody listening here that's in the Fort Myers area, right? That may be listening
Mhm.
to this podcast, there's an opportunity. Six or more guests, the host would actually get the opportunity for free. So that's great. That's great.
Mhm.
Well, shifting topics slightly and going back to Dolores Cannon because I love her material. Have you ever read the book, The Three Ways of Volunteers?
I have.
Okay, so you probably know where my question is going. Do you ever come across a person, and you don't have to give names because I know it's private and we don't want to share people's personal stuff, but have you ever come across anybody that would fit a what I would say is a person that maybe came from another dimension, because we're multidimensional, another planet, or maybe I don't like if people have had any of those experiences under hypnosis?
I did have one client. It was truly fascinating. When I took her into a past life, she was, it's hard to explain. She was energy, and her job was, she worked on wormholes. That was what she did. So
Yeah,
I would say that would probably fit that description, wouldn't you?
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I I can definitely relate to that too. So I would say, in the general population, you're probably going to get a whole spectrum of people with different past lives, and some of them
Oh yeah.
probably would be, if you're listening to this and interested about the three ways of volunteers, it's really about those souls that, maybe they didn't hang out on planet Earth for a long time, or many lifetimes, but they felt called during this transitional moment that we're in to be here. And a lot of them sometimes don't even know that. They don't know, or they may have a spiritual awakening, or they may walk into a QHHT practitioner like yourself, and then get that sense like, oh yeah, yeah, I'm from another realm, another planet, another existence, or like you said, energy, or just that maybe a non-human
Hmm.
um, memory that comes through. So yeah, I can definitely relate to that, and I'm sure you probably, maybe as you keep doing this, might uncover even more people that fit that
Oh,
profile.
absolutely. Well, what Dolores Cannon says is Earth is the most difficult plane to reincarnate to.
Really?
Yeah.
And why
Yeah.
is that?
Because we get to experience all of the emotions here. And
Hmm.
that's often what attracts the soul to come back to Earth because, some emotions are great, like joy and, you know, but some emotions are not so great. So this is why it's the most challenging plane.
Yeah, and I think as deeply challenging as it can be, it's also in a way like a springboard for maybe whatever that rebirthing, um, or I guess, but the word that's coming to me is going through the dark night of the soul. Like we hear people that go
Yep,
through something maybe tragic, loss of a loved one, loss of a job, something completely shifts or breaks down in their life. They maybe have that, spiritual awakening that's beginning. They seek out somebody like you because they're trying to figure it all out. And
absolutely.
through a QHHT session, they learn some insights that they may not have normally been open to.
Yes. And to go back to those beings that have come here from another plane, they often will feel here on Earth like they don't belong, and they
Yeah,
just feel very uncomfortable. They don't want to be here. They want to go back home. I'll be
yeah,
honest, I feel that a lot.
yeah, yeah,
In my past life explorations, I have not yet. I've done two from, myself. I have not yet experienced me being anything other. Well, that's not true. I was a mermaid in one past life and a druid. The people that live in the trees.
yeah.
The very
Interesting.
first, yeah, the first time, but not from like another planet, if you will.
Yeah, I was like just a cloud. I was just like
Wow.
watching yeah, I could see everything from yeah, that was like I have to go back and re-listen to my you reminded me to
Mhm.
do that. So I still got the recording. I'll go back
Oh,
and re-listen
great.
to that. Because actually when I came out of that, it's funny how you make sure that the client uses the bathroom beforehand. And
Hmm.
I remember during my QHHT session, telling the practitioner, I said, "Well, I don't think it really worked. I don't think I was, hypnotized." And she goes, "What do you mean? I've got a 2-hour recording, and halfway in the middle, you went downstairs to use the bathroom." And I'm like, "Really?" And then then I started remembering things. What happened was as I listened to it, I started remembering things.
Hmm.
So I guess from what you shared, my invitation is to probably go back to that and listen to it again and again, because I'm sure you do maybe reconnect and things resonate with you a little bit differently the more you listen to your own recording. But I felt in a way was when I listened to it, it felt like I was channeling. It was,
Yes,
yeah. Yeah,
you are.
you
You
are,
are.
yeah.
Because
So,
I call in source, your
yeah.
source, and source is speaking to you and you're vocalizing it and it's being recorded. I do want to make mention because I feel responsible to make sure that I remind you that even though the induction is not recording, please don't re-listen to it when you're driving.
Oh, very good point. Yeah,
Okay? Because I
yeah.
wouldn't want you to go into a hypnotic state. So that's like, please don't do that.
Yeah, no, that's very good to put that. Now I'll even put that in print during like I'll mention that. But yeah, that's anything like that uh would be important. So what else do you feel the other question I had is does anybody ever come back to you for a second session?
Yes. Hmm. Yeah.
Okay, because they're probably seeking more information.
Exactly. Well, I would say wait 6 months to a year before you do it.
Okay.
But think about it. You're going to be in a different frequency, in a different timeline. Different things are happening. You'll want clarity on new things. And you have a plethora of lifetimes to explore. So why not explore them?
Yeah.
Get more
No, why
answers.
not?
Knowledge
And I
is
think
power, right?
knowledge is power. And Doreen, the more that we awaken to some of these things, which we would call knowledge, and in a way, I would say it's not something we're seeking, gaining, or learning as much as we are remembering. And the
Hmm.
remembering is through the process of hypnosis that you're using and helping people with. But the more that we kind of unlock, awaken, remember, the more that we can shine our light personally, but the more that we can
Yes.
illuminate the world around us through, whatever our gifts, our things that we're bringing
Hmm.
forth into this lifetime. So I think this is a beautiful thing, and I would highly encourage anybody listening to reach out
Oh,
to you. Yeah.
thank
So
you.
go ahead.
I have to add to that because, when you raise your vibrational frequency, we're also raising the collective frequency, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. It's it's definitely we're tied in. I know there's a lot of people out there that's saying, well, the world is broken and I want to go out and fix it. But it's an
Mm-hmm.
inside job. And that's the only
Yeah,
place, that's the only place, as within, so without. That's the only place
right.
that we can create from. And I know because I've been there, I get frustrated. You look at it and say, okay, I need to, correct the
Mm-hmm.
outer world. But this process, along with so many things that are learned in spirituality and in other practices, I believe this process right here is definitely worth somebody getting a session. So before we adjourn, how do people find you again? What's your website?
It's DoreenConaway.com.
Excellent. Okay, so it's your name with a .com, which is perfect. So many people can't get their own name. So and then they can find links to book sessions and group sessions on that.
Yes. Yes, there's
Excellent.
an events page. I'm not doing any events in August or September because in Florida it's slow, and I'm getting ready to launch my podcast, The Woo Woo Connection.
Yeah.
So that is what my focus is on right now. I do have two events scheduled in October, but you can always check my events page on my website, and then there's always a button on several pages on my website that you can click to book a session
Awesome.
or private session.
Awesome. And then for your new podcast that's coming up, I'm excited for that. I know you're going to be launching it really soon. I'll include that
Mhm.
link down below as well. And for people who are watching this video right now, you'll probably see in that lower left-hand corner where you can subscribe, you'll see Doreen's podcast channel, her YouTube channel that she's using. So make sure that you subscribe. If you haven't subscribed to Raising the Consciousness of Humanity yet, we would more than happy have you like, subscribe, share the video, but also subscribe to Doreen's. It's called the Woo Woo Connection. And we'll make
Correct.
sure that, yeah, we'll make sure that that link is not only in the body of the description, but also you'll see it down below the screen. Well, Doreen, this has been amazing. Is there any last words that you would love to share with the audience today?
Um, I just want to encourage you that while you're going through your spiritual transformation, you may have these dark nights of the soul, but just know that it's temporary, and what emerges from that is only going to be for your soul's highest and best good. And I encourage you, if you like, Ron's channel, uh, about spirituality and raising consciousness. And if you're interested in different holistic modalities, I encourage you to check out the Woo Woo Connection, where I am connecting people and expanding consciousness. And thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you so much, Doreen. It's just been great.
Thank you.
Yes, have an awesome day.